Mum was on the radio the other day telling the story of her baby, who, like so many young babies, refused to be comforted, was restless and crying. And there's nothing that Mum could do, it would appear, to calm her baby down. Until one night, there was a wild, raucous rock song on the radio as her baby was crying. And as the song went on, gradually her baby grew calm and quiet and still in her mother's arms. So the next time they couldn't calm the daughter down, they found the song and played it again, and the same thing happened all over again. So every time after that, when baby couldn't be calmed, they found the song, played the song, and for some reason she quietened down and became content in her mother's arms. Daughter's now a teenager, and that same song is still on her playlist as a favourite song. Not quite sure that's what our pilgrim songwriter means in Psalm 131 when he talks about himself as being calm and quiet like a weaned child, and that is how he describes his relationship with God. A sense of calm, quiet, confidence in the God who is worthy of trust. I wonder if you have an ambition in life. Now, there's nothing wrong with ambition. There's people in the world who have achieved great things, far more than they ever dreamed they could achieve, simply by trying to fulfill a long-held ambition. And people who have done marvellous things because that has been their ambition in life. Ambition, though, can be a driving force that becomes unattractive when it breeds in our hearts a kind of arrogance that wants to push other people to one side, that tramples on people's toes, that just tries to get to the top of the tree at other people's expense. And that becomes a quite unattractive way of life. The psalmist, on the other hand, is writing about his ambition, in a sense, to be humble. Humility is the quality that he describes as being the other side of confidence in God. The Scottish theologian John Bailey once wrote that humility is the obverse side of our confidence in God. So being confident in God, being quiet and still in God's presence, breeds in us this quality of humility. And being humble affects lots of different parts of our lives, and particularly affects our relationship with God and our relationships with other people. In our relationship with God, it allows us to trust God and to learn to be confident in God rather than being confident in ourselves and being self-reliant. We learn to rely on God himself because he is worthy of our trust. And our humility also affects our relationships with other people. It doesn't make us into a doormat that other people can trample all over, but it does mean that we take other people's interests into account as important as our own when we learn to treat other people well and to care for other people and to look after others who are in need. Jesus humbled himself. Humility was behind everything that he did. It was the attitude in his heart that inspired him to come into the world and to care for people in need, to heal those who are sick, and ultimately to lay down his life for us on the cross. He counted our interests as important, if not more important, than his own. And so he came to be our Saviour. He humbled himself. And that sense of humility, of learning to trust God, learning to count other people's interests as important to us as our own interests, that sense of humility, Jesus is our role model in this. The pilgrim songwriter is an example to us, and we learn to be humble.